universe, world, truth, illusions, reality, things we made up, and love and fear. Like, where does the fear come from? It comes from the other side of, or the opposition of love. You can only be in one of two spaces at one time. You're either choosing love, actively pursuing it, actively being it, or you're choosing fear and the ego.
Hey there, and welcome to Work is Third, the podcast that is all about indulging in rest, setting boundaries, finding joy, and putting yourself first. I'm Dawn Hunter, your host, and I'm so excited you're here. Today's guest is Freddy Jackson, inspirational speaker, educator, and founder of the Love No Ego Foundation. Freddy's work invites us to release fear, practice at life, and return to what's real: love, presence, and authenticity. If you want to skip around, I've added section markers in addition to the chapter markers, but honestly, you're going to want to stick around for the whole thing. Let's dive in. Hello, Freddy, and welcome to Work is Third.
Thank you. Thanks for having me and making it happen, you know?
Yes, I was really looking forward to today's conversation because when we first connected, we have a mutual love of nature. And that's always something I love to talk about. I know you are just a multi-talented trainer, educator, and author, but I am probably most excited to get into the Love No Ego philosophy. But before we do all that, I would like to start out with asking you to share a word to describe how you're doing today.
Ooh, I feel graceful. Like everything is just really a smooth, like flow. It's a good flow. So I feel graceful, not just like physically, like, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, everything's flowing well.
That's a great feeling to have. And now that you describe it that way, I'm like, when was the last time I felt that much alignment across all those areas?
Yeah.
Maybe yesterday, actually, for the first time in a while. I was walking to Pilates and it was really nice out. It was morning, so it wasn't quite hot yet. And I just felt very at peace. Like everything felt fine.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something cool about, like, I think when that you feel those moments, it's not that you're like less busy or anything, or you don't have a lot to do still. But I think it's just you just really tap into like right now. Like you just tap into now, and like yesterday and all that earlier today is not even here anymore, and tomorrow's not here, of course. And when you can tap into that now, it's like an instantaneously like release, and you feel graceful. You feel like, oh wow, it's so beautiful,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but let's be real. Like, so many people struggle with being present, like being
Mhm.
in the now, right?
Right.
How are you staying in this moment?
Yeah. I always say you have to practice. You have to practice at life. We practice at a lot of things, a lot of other things. We practice sports, we practice this, we practice that, we do this, we do that. But how often do you really just stop and try to simply practice at life? And how do you do that? Like your curiosity and your intuition should lead you to it. You should be curious enough to let me consider practicing that life. So, I watch the sunrise a lot, like often, just about every day. We're just talking about getting outside, and I'm going for a jog, just a slow, nice jog on the trail. I might do a little cold plunge in the water in the lake, and get out, keep running. But my connection to nature kind of keeps me in the moment. It keeps me in a space of gratitude. It keeps me in reality, like it keeps me. That's what reality is to me. It's not like what I make up or what humans make up. People say, oh, Monday morning, back to reality. Here we go. Back to work, back to this, back to that. Like, is that really reality? Or is that just stuff we made up? Like, like,
Ooh, I
gotta,
haven't thought of that.
just because we made it up doesn't mean it's real. Like, reality is changeless. It's truth. It's not illusions. It's light. It's not darkness. It's now. It's not yesterday. Like now transcends time. We made up time. 24-hour clock is a made up thing, but we're so tied to it and restricted by it that just like when you jumped into your now of grace, like you transcend the 24-hour clock. You're like human, eternity, like life, presence. And that's what love, no ego is all about, because love is that natural, intuitive space of you, what you've been given. And the ego is a false persona. Like, why would you need to be that?
I want so many things I want to pick up on because like all the words are music to my ears. Intuition, doing things for yourself. But I really am drawn to like you talk about we say we're back to reality when Monday rolls around. And I was thinking, to some degree, we're in control of our reality. And why can't our reality be Monday through Friday? That we are still joyful and peaceful and rested and feeling grace in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we say we're gonna put it on hold for 5 days and then go back to
I
our
know.
lives?
I know. Why would you ever want to delay like your happiness and joy? Like that doesn't make much sense. You don't need science to tell you this. You don't need religion to tell you this. Like you have a beautiful intuition that you've been given. And when we create space for it to do what it does and we practice that life, it talks to you. It speaks to you. Like the universe is keeping us alive. Like doesn't that consider some like, if something happens to the sun, we're all dead anyway. Right. So if I'm calling this 9 to 5 over here Monday morning reality, why isn't reality keeping you alive? I think it's just important to think about universe, world. Like the universe is, we're of the universe. We're just kind of in the world. Universe, world, truth, illusions, reality, things we made up, and love and fear. Like, where does the fear come from? It comes from the other side of, or the opposition of love. Like, you can only be in one of two spaces at one time. You either choosing love, actively pursuing it, actively being it, or you're choosing fear and the ego. Like, there's only two choices all day long that you're choosing. It could be something as simple as, you know what, I'm going to drink water today, or something, more profound, like, I'm going to get therapy for me. You're
Mhm.
choosing all the time. And I think you only have one or two choices.
So tell me more about the love no ego philosophy and where this originated for you and how it started to become this is your philosophy and really deeply informs the work that you're doing.
Yeah. So, wow. I'm a former college athlete. Just to give you some bullet points, I'm a former college athlete. I'm a former music artist. I wrote a lot of songs in my day, lived in Hollywood and different places in California. I lived in a lot of music towns like Austin, Texas. I was in Orlando, Florida for a while, just writing, producing music for people, for other artists, for myself. It took me to different places. I'm a personal trainer and wellness coach of like 17 years now. Grew up in a small town, one stoplight, flashing 24 hours a day type of town. We have two stoplights now. We're on the come up and they're fully
Yeah.
functioning. They go through all the rotations. They're not just flashing. And then like my own personal mistakes along the way, got some education. I got a few degrees, a double master's in psychology, undergrad in radio broadcast and journalism, some great experiences. And in about 2012, I just kind of saw it all, like my personal mistakes along the way, the experiences that I've had. I was like, the damn ego, man, it's just in the way. It's just kind of blocking opportunities. It's like really a false version of who I really want to be. Like
Mm,
if I'm not scared and nervous, if I'm not overly anxious, fearful, my ego doesn't even come out because it doesn't have a reason to feel like I need to protect or put on a shield to protect. So I started looking more at fears and this and that. And then I realized, like, wow, it's only love and fear. It's only love and fear. I was like, love is the greatest energy ever. And the ego is the one thing that can keep you away from that. So I wrote a couple of songs about it. I put out an album about it. And I just realized, like, through all of my experiences, that it was just more than music, and I needed to turn it into something. So I founded the Love No Ego Foundation in 2016, and we mentor youth, just kind of help them have the courage to be themselves. We take them through a whole curriculum. It's nature-based programming. It's all outdoors,
Love it.
100% of the time, all 4 seasons. We're rocking and rolling outside. And then we do motivational speaking, like full-on assemblies in schools and educational environments, and do things with the Department of Juvenile Justice. We have some of their mentees in our program, or some of their kids as mentees in our program. Just again, like really helping youth to notice this a lot earlier than I did, so they can have that courage to be themselves.
So how are you explaining to kids like what ego is? How are you
Hmm.
getting them to understand that as a concept? Because first of all, I love psychology. This is a random side story, but when I was an undergrad, I wanted to be a psych major. I took a ton of upper level psych classes, but I never took like intro psych 101. And I
Right.
remember when I had to declare my major, they were like, well, if you really want to do psychology, you can study over the summer and you can test out of this class and then we can, we can place you. And then I was like, that seems like a lot. So I ended up being an English major instead. But I have a lot of love in my heart for psychology. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So tell me, how are you helping these youth to understand what ego is?
Yeah. We always reference this phrase, the courage to be you. And we have this, I'm gonna give you one example of something we do with them initially when they first get into the program. Say we're on our first session and we're walking the trail. And if it's applicable at the moment, we see an opportunity, we'll do this exercise with them. They get this piece of paper, it's like a gold card, and it has a circle on it like this. And we say, we want you to write everything that you can think of that's natural inside the circle. And they like look at us like, natural? Like, what do you mean? Like a tree? Like, yeah, that's one. you know?
That count. Yeah.
Yeah. And they go, okay, tree, sun, moon, stars, and dirt, rocks, mountains, rivers, water, oceans, skies. And it gets a little deeper, life, intuition, spirit, peace. It's natural. Grace, joy, human, being, ing, suffix. Now, the now is natural. You can't be anywhere else, right? It's natural. You can't be here yesterday. You can't be here tomorrow. You're always here, right? So then we get them to write everything that's unnatural on the outside that they can think of. I mean, you could go for weeks with this, but it ends up being phones, cars, money, government, Democrat, Republican, all the stuff that we made up, right?
Yeah.
And then we look at this and we just engage in so much conversation while they're doing the exercise. It's like, oh, natural. Yeah, like I am natural, like boom. So we call this like love, this space. And before you attach it to anything out there, recognize it here. Like you have it already. So we call this love, and we call all this the ego influence world. It has the potential to create so much competition, so much division, so much this, all the social statuses out here that we made up. Like we made all this
Yeah.
up. And that's one thing that we do with them that makes for such a great conversation and just authentic relating. And we go all day on this. And they all get these watches, the time sets now.
I know I have a note from when we first connected that you have a watch that says now. And I was like, I love that so much.
Yeah. And so we practice that. And what better way to practice is to kind of have authentic conversations and relating out in nature. 99.9% of people walking on a trail feels pretty good. And it just makes we always say if we create the environment for them to be successful, then they will. So we take responsibility on creating the environment around them and putting them in a space where they feel they can trust and be authentic.
Okay, so there are two things that I really love. The first one that to me was like the key phrase is before you attach yourself to all the stuff that's outside of the circle, because I think that's really ego, right? Is that attachment to these things that are created,
Hmm.
or these attachments to something in the world as we perceive it.
Hmm.
um, which I think is really interesting. But then you also said creating the conditions for them to be successful. That speaks to my soul. I feel like what we are doing, especially with Work is Third and the work that I do
Hmm.
personally as a consultant, is I want to create the conditions for people to thrive.
Hmm.
And I think that starts with understanding, like you said, what is natural and good and supportive for us. And how do we honor and recognize that before we engage in other ways with the world? At least that's how I'm hearing you describe it. Is
Hmm.
that right?
Absolutely. And the way that you're saying it, and we both are saying it, it also teaches a little bit of responsibility because they say, like, oh, I have this, I do want that. And if life is not going the way that they want it to go, we say, what you're looking for, you already have. Like what
Mhm.
you're actually looking for, you already have it. There's a difference between what's been given you and now what you're making of it. You know, what's been given to me, like life is beautiful, it's great. You know, now it's up to me, like what I make of it, it might not align with what's been given me. So we say when you meet the conditions for whatever it is that you want, when you meet the conditions, it'll show up. It's yours. If I want peace, if you meet the conditions for peace, you think you're going to find it being chaotic and scared, nervous, and no. If you tap into your intuition, learn how to be, just practice at life, and you do your best to meet those conditions for what you want, it's bestowed upon you. It's yours.
I feel like my skin is tingling or something because I love that if you create the conditions for peace, peace will come. And it sounds so simple, but it's so true. Or fill in the blank. If you create the conditions for X, X will come.
Hmm.
And I think that reminds me a lot of that saying, what you focus on is what your life is. I don't know what the exact phrase is, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where the attention goes, where the energy goes, the life flows, or it's a few of them that say the same thing. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then it's like if you're giving attention to chaos, you will have chaos.
Hmm.
Or if you right? Like, if
Yeah.
you don't put the energy into
Mm-hmm.
living the life that you want to live, then you
Mm-hmm.
won't live that life that you wanna live.
Yeah. I think we underestimate the power of now. We think we can do something chaotic and kind of fall back over to the peaceful side. You could, but you're actually consistently contradicting your will, like your soul and your intuitive space. Like this is a good space. Think about why people suffer, right? People suffer because there's two opposing energies. Like this is good. This is all of this in here. It's good. The heart already knows. The intuition knows. The soul knows. But then we let our minds get into it and take it and run off with it and create all this other stuff and these other stories. And every one of us experiences pain. All of us. No one is exempt from pain. But only a few of us suffer though. You know, everybody gets a stone thrown at them, gets hit by a pebble or whatever it is. Then some people keep that pebble and turn it into a mountain. You might take the pebble and scratch it off, but like, I got to keep going. You know, we both got hit by the same pebble, but we're taking different responsibilities for it. So some people go into suffering.
I've talked to my therapist about this concept. What is it, when you basically you create mountains out of molehills, right? And
Mhm.
you catastrophize, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So it's like you take the one pebble and then you're like, "Oh my goodness, my whole house is falling apart." And then you get stuck in that thinking because now you're in panic mode and now you feel like your body, even if you're not directly conscious of it, your body is responding to that fear that got raised in you. And now you're taking all your actions as though this is a problem, but it's completely out of context, right? And you're just responding from this kind of natural innate response that you have. And if you take a moment to slow down and be in the now, you
Hmm.
can remove yourself from that. Like you said, you have to practice at that. But I think
Yeah.
you can do that.
You can. And most people don't practice at life. They look at me like I'm kind of crazy when I tell them, I like, practice at life. And they're like, practice at life? What do you mean? And I'm like, what is life? If you don't know, at minimum, just kind of sit still for a while. Let's find out. Your intuitive space, it'll talk to you. No, it'll give you messages, it'll give you guidance, it'll give you direction. But the world is designed to keep you so busy that you don't even have time to sit still with it, you know?
Yeah.
But that power of now is like it's so powerful because for the simple, inevitable, undeniably changeless fact that you can't be anywhere else. You can't do anything else tomorrow or yesterday. If it's not happening right now, it's over. It's gone, right?
Right.
The only thing that keeps it alive is this big old beautiful brain that we have, right? Simple fact of a great just understanding that fact and accepting and surrendering to what is. Surrender is a good word. It's like you automatically choose what's for you and let go what's not for you. So when we have that presence to ourselves that we're committed to just showing up as authentically as we know how to right now, oh, that grows tremendously. It grows tremendously. And you are able to understand, like, whoa, like forgiveness is really cool. I'm able to like really like, ooh, you know? And you commit to becoming the person that you need to become to get around any challenge. Challenges are cool. They force you, if we're listening, is asking me to become a better person so I can go beyond this challenge, Like,
I love
yeah.
the concept of challenges being cool. And it totally resonates to think that we have challenges because there's something that we need to do to be more aligned with who we are.
Mhm. Exactly. Boom. And what will we do with our challenges? We'd be lost.
Yeah. Yeah. We would. We would. We would just keep living in the chaos. So what you made me think was when you said why we hold on to things, or like why we're attached to these ideas of the stone that is now a pile of stones or whatever. And I think that's very ego like, right? Like we have a hard time letting go of things, I've always believed, because they're so much a part of our identity. So
Mhm.
even the challenges, like say you've gone through a really traumatic or challenging experience, some people hold on to that and it becomes part of their identity and they have a hard time letting that go. But then when
Mhm.
you don't do that, you don't make space for what is meant for you, I think.
Yeah. So I think, and that's a good point. And I think it's important to have a focus, a consistent focus on what you want, because I feel like this. It's like, I can't say I have this goal and I really want this, but yet I'm holding on to something over here that's not serving me. Despite what it is, it can be very traumatic, it can be anything. And I'm not willing to grow to get to this, which I really want. So I'm choosing to stay over here and invite more suffering. But yet tomorrow I say, oh, I want this. But then my now I'm spending over here. It's very contradicting to your soul and your spirit. That's why they say talk positive to yourself. Because there's it's like a kid. It's like this inner kid that's always there, that's always listening. And when you talk down to yourself, you think you can't get away from yourself. Like you heard it, you did it, you said it, and you just kind of stamp in your soul with this negative self-talk, you know. And you know what cracks me up about? We had a conversation about this like a couple of weeks ago about negative self-talk. Of all the people that were in that room, it was about 15 people. There were a few people kind of had some ideas about or opinions about negative self-talk, and they weren't agreeing with what I was saying. And so I asked them a question. I said, the things that you say to yourself, the things that we have identified, I said, would you say that if a kid was sitting right here next to you, would you say that to that kid who said, like, man, I want to go and try such and such? Would you say, oh, no, you can't do that? Don't even try that. Like, no. But this is why, because this is it, but. They're like, no. I said, so why would you say it to yourself? you know?
Right.
It's but it takes practice to get all of this stuff. And we just have to commit to being the best that we know how to be because everybody's at a different space. And that's cool. That's fine.
It is interesting, that disconnect, I think, between like, we do tell kids you can be anything you want to be. Like the world is your oyster. Reach for the stars.
hmm
And then we get older and we're like, yeah, that's not reality. To go back to a word we were using earlier. But why? Like, what is that? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, what is that disconnect that happens, yes, it is something like you have responsibilities, you have to start adulting or whatever
Mhm.
that might be. But why do we lose that belief that the world is
Yeah.
our oyster? Why do we
Yeah.
lose that belief that we can achieve anything?
Because I think because our day to day, our now kind of adds up and becomes this lifestyle that's taking you on a journey away from yourself. Like, think about it. You hit middle school, right? You hit middle school. Some of the most happiest people walking the planet are kids and elderly, right? Because these are the two spaces where you're like just in the now. You know, I just want a pancake and my toys. Like, I'm now, right? That's it. Right? And then the elderly, they're the same way. I give me a pancake, get out of my face, let me do some music, they dance, whatever. It's only us in the middle, that middle school clique. It starts forming, the opinions start growing, and we move. First of all, most of us are getting up at 6 a.m. to go to a place we don't even want to be at for the most part, whether it's at school, work, whatever it is. So the lifestyle becomes like you start moving with this cloud on you and you're not doing what you love to do. And it fluctuates, of course, but just to have an idea, a picture of it, at middle part of middle school to the office to the job to the career, whatever, is usually not an enjoyable one. We plan our vacations better than we do life. Like, you know, and and
Yeah.
and oh, I gave this speech less than a year ago, and I decided to open it up. It was called Disrupt HR. Like, we want to disrupt human resources in a positive way. We want to
Yeah.
do things so traditionally, just like let's shake things up. So I opened up the presentation, and there was a woman she was pregnant with the belly on the screen. That's all you saw was the belly. And every 5 seconds, the slide would change, and I would show like how this baby was born, came into the world, went to school, now sitting in college classroom, now sitting in a cubicle, now looking at places to go on vacation, right? Like, so I went through this whole process of showing them, and I was talking, and the point that I want to make is when you're in the womb, right? Like, you're in the belly, like it's quiet, it's dark, you don't question the darkness, you're not scared, your reflexes start to you kick. People come over and feel the belly, and oh, he's so cute, and all of that. And you have a heartbeat before you have this big old thing. It takes 20 years or so for this to fully develop. And what happens? You're in there 9, 10 months in a dark place. You come out into the world now. There's fluorescent lights in your face, probably the worst lights to have in your face. You've been in this dark place 9, 10 months, right?
A harsh way to come into the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's noise, there's machines, there's TVs, there's people running all around. And you start moving from one box to the next, from the hospital to the car to the home to the bedroom to the crib, if whatever. Then you're in the school in a couple of years. Next, you're in the college, and you're in a cubicle, and you're like, what is this? You know? And then you apply for passports and you try to go on vacation. And you go do yoga and you go do this and you go do that when you are already given everything that you're looking for,
Hmm.
that you're trying to get back to.
It makes me a little sad, if I'm being honest, to think
Mhm.
about this kind of complete and peaceful state at birth to the drawing the thread to the person who's sitting at their desk trying to figure out how they can take a vacation. And you're like, man, like,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to hear that and think that, one of the things that's come up quite a bit on this podcast is how we are conditioned from a very young age for the
Hmm.
workforce, for a certain way of living that is contrary to what is natural to us
Hmm.
and maybe misaligned with who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to it, it takes some courage. That's why we call our program on the nonprofit side the courage to be you. Like love no ego, our tagline is the courage to be you. Like the authentic you, the one that's beneath the noise and the chaos and stuff. Like what do you want to do? And whatever it is that you want to do aligns with the will of whatever created you. I mean, that's perfect alignment. Like it's only one you, Dawn. Like nobody like you before you. Never will be anybody like you after you. Like, wow. Like, tell me that ain't awesome and keeps you curious about yourself. Like, what? Wait a minute. What am I going to do with this? You know?
Yeah.
So that courage to be you, you have a will. They say that where there's a will, there's a way. Like you have a will. If you listen and do your absolute best just to follow it, it's going to pay you in more ways than you could have imagined, you know? And it takes courage to do that now because most of us have experienced more of the world than we have this beautiful universe. So now we got to put things in reverse and remove some layers of the world and the trauma and all this stuff off of us so we can have the space to be.
I think that's why it's so good that you're working with youth, because I think you just made a connection happen in my mind, which is, why do people have what they think of as a midlife crisis?
Mhm.
I think it's like you wake up one day and you realize that maybe you're not living the life that you thought you would be living, or the life that is aligned with what you really desire. And then you start figuring out how to get back to it. And then I think in some ways you feel a sense of urgency because you're older and you feel like maybe there's not enough time to get back to that place that you want to be, or to get to that
Yeah,
place that you want to be. And so people go into crisis trying to figure it
yeah.
out.
I know we go into crisis, and oftentimes it's very challenging to find the answers. I've been fortunate enough to commit to a daily practice that feeds me tremendously. I like, for example, over during this time of developing and finding love no ego, or founding it. I also go in the corporate world and speak, and just getting the ego out of the workplace. So I might be working with middle schoolers one day, and the very next day I'm speaking to like 500 people in the marketing field. And you know what the funniest thing is? I probably changed 3 or 4 of my slides. Period.
Hmm.
Yeah. you know, and it's beautiful. But the practice of it all, as I'm founding all of this, like eventually I got rid of my TV. I don't have TV, I don't have cable, I don't have the excess noise in our home. We have plants everywhere, and like it's vibrant. We spend a lot of time in nature. I read every day, I meditate every day, I move every day. I fast at certain times. Like I'll just not eat for 2 days, just drink water. And I've just come to a space of where I trust beyond the surface. I trust the universe. You can say God, you can say creator, love, all same frequency to me. Like, it's all healing. It's all healing. And I can find the answers I need oftentimes by just giving myself a little stillness. We are wonderful beings. Like what we have, we can heal ourselves. We can do so much with this awesome body and spirit and intuition that we have. And I like to just say I stay curious about that, and I just start listening more.
So you talked earlier too about eliminating distractions, and what I heard you describing is this really serene environment. So talk about creating the conditions to support a peaceful life. It sounds like you have that.
Hmm.
But as I'm hearing you, and these are things I try to do, I have a hard time with meditating because being still is a challenge for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
But what do you say to people who have a challenge, who hear this like serene lifestyle, right? I meditate, I work out, I got rid of my TV, I make time to read every day. I
Hmm.
take care of myself every day. And people who are like, that's just not realistic for me.
Hmm.
What do you say to that?
I asked them, do they want it? I just asked
Mm,
them, are you sure? Is that what you want then? Because you got to start there. Because if you want it, I can come back to that to say, well, why you're not doing that? And 2 weeks later, I can be like, why are you doing that? You said you want this. Just kind of keeping it simple. And I understand that we'll bounce back and forth. We're going to have some challenges and struggles like with ourselves and staying committed. But that's the practice. That's the practice. You show up again the next day the best you can. It's like I learned this in sports too. Like we lost. Okay, cool. We won. Oh, okay, cool. Guess what I'm doing tomorrow anyway? I'm showing up and I'm going to practice. Whether we lost or we won, right? And I'm gonna try to get better.
yeah.
So that's life too. So first I'm like, I have a couple of individual coaching like clients. I don't take too many on. I only have like one or two at a time, because I'm busy and I want to be mindful of the energy that I'm giving to them as well as like myself. And that's the one thing we always talk about. Like, are you practicing today? And if they have a challenge of sitting, or let's call it meditating, if they have a challenge of meditating, I have them set a timer, and you maybe can try this. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Set a timer for 10 minutes. That's going to send a signal to your brain that this will be over in 5 minutes. This will be over in 10 minutes. So you'll be able to set a little bit more still versus if you didn't have a timer, you're like, oh, what am I going to do? Oh my God, I can't sit here. you know,
Uh,
Set a timer on your phone, throw it across the room somewhere, and you don't have to sit. You can lay down. Like I go horizontal every day for about 45 minutes. I just lay out completely in the floor, in the field. I just stop everything and I just lay out for 45 minutes. And it's like when I'm done, it's like I've had a cup of coffee or something.
mm, laying outside in the field. That sounds amazing. Touching
Yeah.
the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, grounding. And I try to make it very simple, but very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very applicable and digestible. Like when it comes to grounding, like everything has a ground wire. You ever notice that? Like your car, your battery, your wash machine, your microwave, your refrigerator, it has a ground wire. It needs the earth. That alone keeps me curious enough, like, ooh, okay. I need to stay grounded. Maybe I should connect to the earth or be intentional about it, you know?
Mm. I haven't heard that analogy, but I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it something? I used to hook up radios and stuff when I was like 16 and 17 in cars. Just kind of picked it up, just being curious, wanting to do it myself and stuff. And some friends asked me to do theirs, but I found it interesting. Like every time, it's like you got to connect this ground wire, or this thing's not gonna work. You know what it does if it doesn't? If it's not grounded, you know what machines do if they're not grounded?
Short out.
Yeah, they short off, they blow up.
Yeah.
Pew! Same with you, you know?
So true. So true. Maybe this is unique to me, but I was thinking that when I'm super busy and feeling very stressed out, I actually do a better job of setting a timer, taking a break, going for a walk,
Mhm,
because those things help me to manage my stress and energy levels. But when
mhm,
things are really peaceful, I actually don't keep those habits up as much, which
mhm,
sounds really counterintuitive. And it just makes me think as you're talking, like, why do we do that? And maybe that's unique to my experience, but I imagine there are people who may do the same thing. Like they do these things as like band-aids maybe when they're in this really stressful environment. Now that I say it out loud, I'm like, maybe that's the aha moment, right? It's like you're doing
yeah.
it as a band-aid when you really need to do it as an intentional practice as part of your life.
Yes, there it is.
I just
And
therapize myself.
yeah, that's beautiful. That's what authentic relating does. It's like it pulls stuff out of yourself and you're like, "Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's what I need to do." But it just helps to align everything. Like My wardrobe is simple. Like my wardrobe, I could hang over my left arm, every piece of clothing I have back there. Yeah. I like simplicity. I have 3, 4 pairs of the same exact like sweatpants. They're dressy, but at the same time they look sort of athletic. I could play some golf. I could go to church if I want to. I could just walk out and go give a presentation, you know? I like to keep things very simple because I really don't want to waste a lot of time on like just not that they're not valuable. It's just I have other things I want to put energy into
Yeah.
that I'd rather, and that stuff adds up. It adds up.
The time does add up.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
much time you spend planning your wardrobe or, little things that you just spend your time doing. I heard a podcast once call it time confetti.
Mm,
And it was this idea of think of all the little moments you lose during the day, not on any particular long or structured activity, but all these random little things that we do. Maybe we're staring off into space for a moment, or maybe we're spending too much time thinking about what we're going to wear for the day.
mhm,
Or, we're looking at menus on our phone and trying to decide where to eat or whatever.
mhm,
That all that time confetti adds up into longer blocks of time.
mhm.
And how do you want to be spending your time?
Exactly. And that's another thing that I say to people, that question you ask, like, what do you say to people who don't have that lifestyle or that peace or that grace? Let's look at some things that we can remove out of your life physically, spiritually, emotionally, so you feel that you first have the energy and the space to go do something else. People are doing so much that they just can't process committing to something else, even if it seems that it's going to serve them well. We had this
Yeah,
TV on the wall for, I mean, many years, but for the last year or two, we haven't had a TV on like a decade now, right? And since first term Obama days, right?
that's a long time.
Yeah, I probably have watched, I don't know, maybe a handful of shows since then. Yeah. I haven't watched one thing political in a decade. I already know what it's going to be about. We already know what they're going to say, just different ways, more intense.
Yeah,
Um, but had this TV on the wall, and we hadn't turned it on in like a year. And my wife's my stepson, he moved out, he graduated, he was gone, going to college, doing his thing, living a 20-year-old life. He's doing his thing. So it's just me and her, and I'm like, we haven't turned this TV on in like a year. And she knows me. She like, you want to sell it, don't you? So I'll sell it. I'll get rid of it. It's on Craigslist, 20 minutes, and it's gone. And we sold it. And then I said, okay, well, I got to get rid of the cable thing. Realized like I was paying $200 a month for cable. That was on auto pay. So
mm,
that's extra $200 and some extra time that I just got back. Right. And that's something that I just became less attracted to. It's not like I made this effort, like I had to make a sacrifice to get rid of something. No, I kind of changed me and my habits, and that TV just became unattractive. It just didn't fit anymore. So I always ask people, what's in your life that you can just move and get rid of, like physical stuff, emotional stuff, things that are taking time, 24-hour clock time. And it's also taking that space time of you. Let's look at that. It feels good to get rid of stuff.
it feels good to give yourself the gift of time.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
I think that goes back to that question that you said earlier, which is, do you actually want it?
hmm
Right? Because if you don't want to get rid of the TV and you don't want to get rid of the cable, or you're struggling to get rid of it, part of you probably still wants it.
hmm
So then you need to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
How is
And
this serving you?
and it might be a legitimate reason. Maybe you have some young ones that you want them to watch certain things and they're into it. It happened to line up at a good time for us that where we weren't watching it and we were the only ones in the house. But you still can put some guidelines, a lot of guidelines around that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say this, but I don't know how we have so much time has already passed in this conversation. I want to thank you because I have loved this conversation. It's been so good. And as we wrap up, uh, is there something that you're taking away from our time together?
Yeah. I think I'm taking away authenticity. You're easy to talk with. You're inviting authenticity through your authenticity, you know, and we're kind of just being here now.
Yeah.
We both easily and naturally agreed, like we'll see where the conversation goes. So what I'm taking from it is authenticity. It allows love to do what it does, and love heals and the ego destroys, you know. So I'm glad that we could be in that space of authenticity and love today.
I'm glad to.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to Work is Third. If this conversation with Freddie Jackson resonated with you, take a moment today to practice life. Pause, breathe, and return to the now. To learn more about Freddie's work, visit lovenoego.org and be sure to follow Work is Third wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, love heals, ego destroys, and the courage to be you starts right now.